Hey guys, if you've got a MaxxAir fan installed in your van and you need to take it out for maintenance, or it's just the winter months and you don't need the fan as much and you want something else, I just, as a bit of a side project, I just quickly made this little Skylight box that covers the MaxxAir fan slot. I was surprised to find I couldn't find something easily by MaxxAir that, like a product that could just do this. They seem to have different size skylights and stuff, but they all have different frames. So I just wanted something that I can screw the 4 screws of the MaxxAir fan out, take the fan out, and then pop this cover over the top. And there's a few reasons I've done this, which I'll get into. I'm not super stoked with how it looks. It's just a box, but it's very practical. It works fantastic as a skylight. It's waterproof. There's no water's come in, and I've had it on my car for a few months now, and I haven't bothered to actually put my MaxxAir fan back on because it's currently winter in Sydney, and I'm also not sleeping in my van at the moment. It also provides excellent light for working on my van, as I am currently not finished. I am just still in the insulation phase at the moment, but check out the other videos I've got. I'm going to be putting up a bunch of videos to do with putting, the window in and the solar panel and all this other stuff. But yeah. I was surprised I couldn't find anything like this on YouTube, so I thought I would just document this and chuck this up in case you're thinking of the same thing. It was pretty easy. I just made plastic bracket, and then I stuck in with some windshield glue a piece of opaque perspex glass to act as a diffuser for light, and it's been working fantastically. Even driving down the highway at 110 k's an hour, maybe like a little bit of a whistle, but nothing different than I had with the MaxxAir fan originally. It's not the most aerodynamic thing I have made, but I might do a better version later. But for now, I just had to get something to cover the hole while my MaxxAir fan was out, so I didn't get rain and stuff in there, and it's been fantastic. So yeah, this is just a little bit of video. I'm gonna go into a bit more depth if you wanna keep watching, but yeah, feel free to skip through. So this van comes in at 1.98 meters high, and most car parks are generally 2.1 meter clearance. In the city, they're more like 2 meters high is the clearance you need in Sydney. So whenever I have corporate events and gigs, sometimes I'm not gonna make it in the car park. And one of the things I'm doing is I'm fitting this van out. So I've put a solar panel on the roof. I've put a MaxxAir fan because you need some ventilation. So most car parks generally, you're looking at about 2.1 meters, at least the ones that I get caught out on. So once I added the MaxxAir fan, which is the ideal ventilation solution that everyone uses for their van build, that actually adds about 12 centimeters or 5 inches to the top of the van. When it's in the closed position, there's about 12 centimeters there. The problem with that is that puts my van up to 2.1 meters exactly. I have a solar panel, which I've also mounted on the van now, and that only sits up about, is it 5 or 6 centimeters? They sit on brackets. I could have actually got them lower, but I figured since I'm having a MaxxAir fan, which is going to add 12, I don't need to worry too much about getting the solar panel super flush. But the solar panel sits about 6 centimeters above, so that puts my van from 1.98 to about 2.04. Anyway, so I had a gig coming up and it was booked in, and I checked on Google Street View. I checked the clearance of the car park and it was 2.1. So I have to get into this car park. And so I realized with the MaxxAir fan, there's just 4 screws on the side that pin it in. The fan itself actually drops in the top. So what I decided to do for that gig was to just take the fan out, undo the 4 screws, lift the fan out, and then I've essentially just got a hole in the roof of my van. So what I did was, my plan was actually to put the fan in afterwards, but what I did was I just got a bin bag, a clear plastic bin bag, and I taped it over the hole because it was rainy and I didn't want all the water to come inside, especially on all my music equipment. So I taped a bin bag over that, but what I immediately noticed when I started driving was the amount of natural light that I got from this 400 by 400 millimeter hole in the roof. Dispersed through this plastic bag, it became like a panel LED light, like super bright. So I turned around as I was driving and I was just kind of blown away by how much light was in the van. I just now had this huge light panel. And so I decided, what if I could make just a panel that fits over the hole So when I need to do these gigs, I can swap it out. So it's got two purposes. The first purpose is you take the fan out and then I get my clearance back. So this cover is going to be a lot lower, just to cover the hole from the rain. And the second purpose would be if I could make it translucent so the light comes through it and it disperses light really evenly. So what I did was I bought a sheet of Perspex. The first sheet I bought wasn't actually opaque. It kind of said it was, but it wasn't. I got it and no light came through it. So I bought another sheet. It was about 20 or 30 bucks for the sheet. And then I cut out a square, and then my brother had a 3D printer, so I just printed out these square corner brackets at the right measurement, and I used some windscreen sealant I had left over from my brother's car, and used that. I recommend using white if you want it to look. I recommend using white, not black, if you want it to look better. But I stuck this panel in just to water seal it, and I was a bit worried because it was a bit of a shoddy job, but I have had that on my car now for about 2 months. I actually haven't put the MaxxAir fan back in yet because I haven't finished the build. And while I'm working on the van, it's absolutely perfect because I've got like this huge skylight in the van. So when I'm working on the van in the street in the day, I've got a huge amount of natural light coming through the top. And then even at night, if I want more light, I can actually just put a battery light on top of it. And I've got this panel light beaming down, which is really great for working at night. So it's actually quite great to have the option to swap it out. And I don't think many people do this. I think MaxxAir, they do some different models, but having just like a plastic cover that can just cover your MaxxAir fan, especially if you're getting it replaced or you need to do some maintenance on it. For me, it's super handy because it lets me get into these 2.1 car parks for work, which is perfect. So I've actually just left it on for the time being. But I know once I finish my van build and I'm going to be sleeping in the van, that's when I'm going to want the MaxxAir fan installed again. To be honest, I wasn't very happy with my design. I just printed out these square corner brackets and it just looked like a bit of a box on top of the van. So I really think I could design a better one. I just thought I'd chuck this video up to show you what I've done. I think I'm going to 3D print and design a better one and probably take out that Perspex and put it into a new one because it's not very aerodynamic. I just made a box that goes on top. The other mistake I made is I measured it too high. The box fits over the inner lip, but not the outer lip of the fitting, the MaxxAir fitting. So it actually sits quite high. So even though I'm getting enough clearance back to go back into a 2.1 meter car park, I still am adding like 3 centimeters of height that I just don't need to. I'm thinking about getting a jigsaw and just, I'm thinking about using a hacksaw to just slice off a couple centimeters of my thing off the bottom of it, just to lower it back down. Because for some reason the cover I made is just a bit high, but it's definitely a lot lower than the MaxxAir fan. And that's all I needed to get into these car parks. So it's perfect. If I need 2.1 car parks, I can just quickly climb up the side of the van. It's not that easy, and undo the 4 screws and put this in. So I do it because it's for work and I need to get into these car parks and do this stuff. And it's just like a super easy hack. I think you could make it out of if you get any sort of plastic brackets and then some of this Perspex, I'd highly recommend it because it actually is a fantastic skylight as well. So the fact that it has this dual purpose. Anyway, I hope this helps, and please follow along if you want to watch me build my van or if you're interested in any of my music. But yeah, thanks very much, guys. Enjoy. Let me know how you go. If anyone wants to come up with a better design for a 3D printer for a MaxxAir Skylight cover, let me know. Otherwise, if I come up with one first, I will let you know. Thanks, guys. Okay, bye.
4, 3, 2, 1. I know it takes years to go that far, but we can play all our